Right, welcome back to the channel, guys. Today, something a little different. Not typically overlanding, more tech related, but we use it for overlanding. And we're talking about Starlink. That's SpaceX Starlink. This product is not available in South Africa at the moment for various different reasons. But we managed to get our hands on one while we were in the States recently. We brought it back and tried it out. We recently traveled to Zimbabwe and used it there, and it worked like a gem. So we thought, why not make this a bit more of an overlanding setup? So we decided to order the flat mount kit for it. So I'm going to go through that with you shortly, show you a little bit about Starlink, what it is. I'm going to show you the flat mounting kit that we're going to use, and I've also ordered the 12 volt conversion kit so that we can run it on 12 volt in the car and not have to rely on an inverter, which is going to be a lot better. Okay, so for those of you who don't know what Starlink is, basically Starlink is Elon Musk's project. It's part of SpaceX, his company in the States, and he has put a bunch of satellites into lower Earth orbit. So that allows us to use a much smaller dish and get internet connectivity from basically anywhere in the world. Okay, so this is part of the kit. I'm going to just show you what it comes standard with. I didn't get the box, it's rather big. But this is the router for the guys in the States. And this here connects to their dish. The dish is quite a big dish, but not as big as you would have seen for normal satellite internet. So pretty portable. It comes with a nice base station that you can stand it on. And it will basically rotate and position itself in its best direction for the best sort of internet connectivity that it can find. It's got a long cable that comes with it. Just put that down, and that basically plugs underneath the router like that, pushes in. And then we've got a normal 220 plug here that will plug in, and you can run it off any 220 power. So for the bush, it's a little bit impractical in terms of running that the whole time, especially for overlanding. Obviously at home and anywhere else that you've got normal power and don't have to rely on battery power and inverters, then it's perfect. So no, you wouldn't need to change anything. There wouldn't be much point. But for us, we want to change it to a flat mount kit so I can mount it on the top of our car so we can use it at any point. You want to connect it to 12 volt so it doesn't use as much power. We don't have to run an inverter. And we can use it on the move. I'm going to do a few tests on that. There's been speculation that Starlink's trying to stop that. I'm not sure why, but yeah, we might not be able to move it, use it while we're moving. But nonetheless, it's still going to be way more convenient on the car, just permanently mounted there, flick a switch, it's on, you can use it. Now some of you might say, well, why do you want to take the internet with you to the bush? Why do you want communication? You're getting away, and rightfully so, not many people do want to, and that's great. But for us, we do some long trips into Botswana and our neighboring countries, and we've got our own business. We need to be connected. We obviously have downtime, and there is time that we won't be, but it's more stressful not knowing what's going on and not being able to deal with issues if they come about. So for us, it's quite nice to have, and I think that this will also just nicely replace a satellite phone and get you out of trouble. If you break down somewhere in the middle of nowhere, there's no cell phone signal, basically no way to communicate unless you've got a satellite phone, which is pretty expensive, but also doesn't really work that well all the time. Our experience with this is it's been working well all the time. So we've had good speeds even when it's partially obstructed. It does say that you need a clear view of the sky, which is correct. But even with partial obstruction like trees and that sort of thing, it wasn't a problem. It still worked, and the speeds we got were still very impressive. So no issue there. Right, to do this Starlink within South Africa, because it isn't available here, we obviously had to buy the kit, which we purchased while we were in the States, but I know there's a lot of people buying them from other sources. We'll leave a few links below. There are sources that are in other countries in Africa, and currently South Africa has said that it's illegal to use it here. So look, we don't use it here anyway. It's not a big deal. We use it in our travels, and that's really what it's for. So no problem. And let's hope they change their minds and allow it to come into the country. Once you've done that, you do need to set up a subscription, and to do that as a South African not living in another country, you're going to need to do it through a country that offers it. So we used Mozambique at the time to set up an account. We already had the hardware, so it was very easy just to put in the identifier code and choose not to take the hardware and just take the subscription, which is great. So I would recommend that you either, if you've got someone who lives obviously in one of these countries where it is available, then I would suggest trying to just order it through them, getting it delivered to their house. Otherwise, you're going to need to find an alternative method to get the hardware and then sign up for an account, which isn't too difficult. So I'll just show you on the website now, on the Starlink website, exactly what it looks like. So basically, you'll navigate over to starlink.com. That'll take you to their international site. There's only one site, and you will see here that you've got a few different options. You've got Starlink residential, you've got Starlink roam, and Starlink for boats. So residential, we're not going to use that. That's if you are in a country that allows it, and that'll allow you to set it up as a normal residential connection and mount it to your house and use it like that, which is great, but unfortunately you're not allowed to do that here yet. The roam is what we're going to chat about, but I'll come back to that now. Then we've got our sort of boats, or used to be called maritime, and that's, you can literally put it on a boat and be in the middle of the ocean and have full connectivity. So pretty cool. All right, so before we put in our address down here and move to the next step, we need to click on the roam subscription, and you'll see here that this is for remote locations. Okay, so this is what the roam package does and what that part of the subscription does. And it might be also called regional or mobile regional. It allows you to use Starlink anywhere in the continent for which you purchased and registered in the country that it is. So if you have registered it and got the service activated in, let's say, Botswana or Mozambique like we did, it allows you then to move anywhere in the African continent and use it. If you go for the residential package, it will be sort of locked to that particular country that you activated it in, or wherever you live. So, and you won't be able to move around with it. And obviously for us and anybody else that's going to use it for overlanding and being a little bit more mobile, it's not going to work. So you click on the roam tab, and that will take you through to the this part of the page here. I'm just going to, for example, I'm going to just put in Zambia because I know it's just become available there, and the exchange rate's a little bit more favorable, so you end up paying like close to 700 Rand. The Mozambican one was about 1,000 Rand, so still not bad. So I'm just going to select a random address here, or it's a random road and address in Lusaka. Click order now. It's going to take us through to the next page where it's going to show us our breakdown of our order. So most important here for starters is that obviously it's showing hardware, but we're not going to be purchasing hardware. We're going to be purchasing the service. So the one we want is exactly this one that is selected, and it automatically does that on its own. So that is mobile regional, and you can see in their country it's 1,000. So that works out to about 700 bucks, 700 Rand as such. Down here we're going to select the little tab that says we already have a Starlink. And you'll see that that then brings up another little box. And in that box is where you'll put the kit number. Now that kit number you will find on the Starlink box itself, and you'll be able to enter it. That is for brand new Starlink hardware. If you're buying a refurbed or second-hand one, you must make sure that it's been transferred out already. So you need to transfer it from one account to the next, and that is a little bit different. But I think in most cases everybody will have it at the point where they can just put the number in and it'll work. Okay, so you enter the kit number, you're going to scroll down, you're going to enter your obviously your name, email address and everything else. You're going to go down, it's asking for a valid shipping address. Now once you enter that kit number, that will go away because it picks up that you don't need a shipping address, but you obviously need a billing address, so you will need to fill in that part, and you can just select that random road. It doesn't need an exact address as such. And then this will update, and the hardware will fall away, and it will just leave you with the service charge. Now I'm showing you this on the website, but I did this on my phone once I'd received it, and it was a lot easier. Set up an account, you set up a profile for yourself, and it's all very straightforward and quite easy to do. There is some other options here you'll see for business, but we're just sticking on the personal. The business one has got a few different things like fixed site, land mobility, there's the maritime one, which is the boats one basically, and then aviation and direct to sell, which is pretty cool as well, and you'll be able to access the internet via your cell phone with the same satellites. So some cool things coming our way in the future, but yeah, that's pretty much the site, and that's what you need to do to set up your account once you've received your hardware. Right, let's go through the flat mount kit that I've been talking about now. All right, so first things first, this is the router that we were talking about. We don't need that. That can go out of the equation. We are going to basically replace that with this little guy. This is a 12 volt TP-Link modem, router, access point. It does a few different functions, which is quite nice. And it's so small, like check this out. If you can see that, but super small. It's basically powered by USB. USB goes into there and you plug it into anything, might be a cigarette lighter or any other sort of USB powered power bank or device. And it has a RJ45 port, which is their either LAN or WAN port. And that is basically what we are going to use to replace this big guy. So quite a big size difference there. Obviously also runs on, as I said, 12 volts, so that's pretty cool, part of the whole conversion. We're going to have to cut off this cable at the end to get it connected, so I'll just show you that. So the cable that comes out of the Starlink itself is a sort of USB side type cable as such, and that goes straight in the back. So we are going to have to cut that off, and we're going to put a RJ45 connector on it. Now this dish is powered from this router, so we need to power the dish, and we need to obviously use 12 volt to do that as well, but the dish runs on 48 volt. So there's another little device we had to buy, and this was ordered from Canada. There's a guy out there that is making these. It is called the Dishy Dualie, and if you have a look on YouTube, you'll probably find quite a bit about it. It's pretty cool. He's gone ahead and made his own 12 volt to 48 volt injector or PoE injector. So you get this very neat little board, and I'm opening this up for the first time and having a look at it. So very nice. You can see there he's done these. They're sort of in small quantities, so a little bit hard to get because there's so many people after them. But basically what this will do is it will step up our 12 volt to 48 volt, and it will allow the dish to run and power that, and allow us to run it using 12 volt. There's a few different ports here. We've obviously got our in, which will be and he's labeled it quite nicely on here, you'll be able to see. So this is our router WAN port. So basically we'll be taking a small sort of patch panel cable, and we will be taking it out of this port, which is the top one here, and we will be taking it into our little modem, little router. This here, the one below it, is our Starlink dish input. So this is where it will throw power out of to that dish to run the dish, and it will run it at 48 volts. So between this little dish, this little board and the dish, we are down to that and the 12 volt router. So quite nice. These two little things replace this completely. And this is obviously not really easily mountable in a car, so even if you have an inverter, it's still quite nice to go this way. So we will use those together and power the dish, but we've still obviously got to mount this dish on top of the car. So in order to do that, I went to Star Mount Systems, also in the States, USA made, and I ordered this flat mount kit from them. So let's have a look at this. Also open it up for the first time here. Now this is quite a nice kit that's come through here. Take a look at that. So basically a very nice board that we've got, cover. I'm going to show you how that we cut the dish. We do have to cut it, unfortunately. Starlink has just released a flat dish, which is the same price as this standard dish, but it wasn't out at the time when we bought. So if you are buying, you can actually go that route, which is quite nice. So yeah, we'll get this open in a sec and have a good look at it. But basically, the Starlink dish will go into this, and this will flat mount on top of the car. So you can see here that basically it's a little bit smaller, can sit nicely in there. We're going to have to cut this dish right around the edge over here and cut right around here with a little Dremel. So you need a little Dremel to do this, and we're going to pry this away from it so that we are basically just left with this part of the dish, because the whole antennas and everything in this dish is all on the front here, and basically this big hump at the back is just got to do with the arm and the mechanism for it to move. Now you may ask, well, I'm cutting off that and I'm removing this arm essentially. Is it still going to work? Well, it does work. So it can be flat. I have tested it flat, and it does work. The connection speeds are good. Nothing to complain about. You do get a little bit of faster speeds if this is sort of done its own angling and put itself in the right position for where most of the satellites are coming past. But for what we use it for, 70, 80 megs download speed is way more than enough. I don't need over 100 while I'm out in the bush. I'm just trying to do a bit of emails, maybe some WhatsApp and some calls. So that's perfect, and still very reliable, because it's completely out in the open. It's still getting that full view of the sky, which is great. I think it's going to be even better on top of the car. So yeah, so we'll get into this. We're going to cut it up now. I'll try to take you through that as I do it. Hopefully we don't do any damage to the dish. Obviously it would have been nice to have the flat one they've just released now. You don't have to do any cutting. You can buy a mount kit like this and it just drops straight into it, and you're not even touching the dish at all. But doing this way unfortunately does void the warranty, as you can understand. We are cutting it up. But yeah, I've watched a few YouTube videos, so let's see. Sure, we'll be okay. With the cable that's coming out of it, we are going to use shielded RJ45 connectors, and then I got this off Amazon as well, which is quite nice. It's a fully watertight connector that's going to allow us to have the RJ45 connector come in there and the one out, so that I can have this separate from the cable in the box and be able to run it through the top of the canopy and into the back of my bin, and power it right in the bin, which would be a lot easier. So yeah, just a few little bits and pieces that you need to get this done. But I'm stoked, everything's arrived, and yeah, let's get cutting. Okay, so let's have a look here. This is the flat mount kit. I've undone this couple screws they had in it already. This is the perspex. It's clear, you actually take that off. So that goes on top, quite nice. And inside we've got a nice beveled edge. You'll see there it's quite nice and beveled. Where it will obviously sit in on this edge here that we have, will sit nicely in that beveled edge over there. And we've got a few bits that we've been supplied with. So nice scannable barcode here for some fitting instructions. They've supplied us with a pen. This will be for marking our line around here. Some heat shrink, I'm not quite sure what that's for yet. Zip ties for the cabling that has to go in here. We've also been provided the insulation tape they use to actually mark off the distance around here that we need to cut. That's obviously that's in the pen for. Here's all our nice Allen key bolts that we need to use. And then this is for the cutout for where we've got our cable that needs to come out. So that's quite nice. That will obviously go on, I'm presuming, that way. By the looks of it, yes, that way. And you'll fold that over and we'll mark it. So yeah, everything in the kit you need, which is quite nice. Very nice enclosure. Looks like it is also completely, obviously, well, should be completely sealed, but yeah, nice rubber edging around here that will completely seal it. And a lot of screws that will go in, but that's obviously to keep it nice and sealed. And then you can see, I mean, look, that's pretty much the thickness we're going to be dealing with, which, yo, that's really cool. So that'll go on top of our car. Quite nice. It has got a point here, you'll see, for the original cable to sort of poke out of and for us to use that. I'm going to change that up a little bit. I'm just going to bring the cable straight out here, and I'm going to put a shielded RJ45 on the end, and that will then go into that enclosure that I bought that completely seals it and waterproofs it, and that connection will then run into the car. So I'm going to do that just to make it a little bit easier to take on and off, and typically these connectors here aren't that great. So yeah, all right, so we're going to get stuck into cutting this now. Should be interesting. I've got my Dremel here. You can use it as a routing tool, but I'm going to just use the disc and slowly move my way around here and eventually pry this away. So yeah, let's get to it. Okay, so that is our hole there that we're going to have to cut. Take that out now. Now we're going to use our insulation tape that's been provided. Okay, so by the looks of it, we've got to put that on the top and basically draw a line the whole way around. A little tough to know if you're getting the right distance, but I will definitely just make 100% sure before I start cutting. Okay, so that looks more or less right. So according to the instructions now, we need to basically just join the lines up. Okay, so by that I mean to do something like this. That, so on this side. So I think we've kind of got our lines here, that seems about right. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start cutting. I know our height's good this side, so I think I'm going to start this side and go around here. And then I'm going to carry on straight across here actually, and then I'll do this little cutout or notch last as such. Okay, let's give this a go. Okay, I think that'll just about do it. So now from what I believe, you can just get a screwdriver, so just pry it away here nicely. So let's have a look. There we go. Check that out. Successful cut. Didn't touch anything. It's actually further away from the board than I thought it was going to be. Now you've got the little connectors, which just need to be taken off. There we go. Check that out. So that is a cut Starlink. Whew, took a little longer than I thought. So this side is basically trash. We just need to get these cables out. We need this particular one here, which is attached to this. And then yeah, this can be thrown away. So pretty cool. There we go, motor's behind there. And this is essentially what does all the work. Let's get some air and blow this out. We still just need to cut this out, so I'll do that in a sec. But pretty cool. Look how much thinner that is. All right, cool. So that's cut, done. Let's do the little cutout on the side here. That is for the cables and stuff to come out of. Let's go ahead and just cut that little section out. Then we'll clean up the edges. So this is actually more of the dodgy part, because this section here is actually quite far away from the board, further than I thought. But this section here, especially at the bottom over here, is going to get pretty close to the board. So we're going to really want to be super careful there. Okay, so this bit at the bottom here, they instruct you not to cut the whole way through, so we've just cut it to there. Oh, okay. You involved here now. Move out the way, please. Thanks. Kids. We should, there we go. That pops straight off. Great. It's pretty close. You can see there how close it is to the board. And yeah, I can barely get my finger down there. So you definitely want to be very careful on this area down there. All right, but seems like we've done it all right. I'm going to just go and clean it up now with the other part of the Dremel. And yeah, then we'll be ready to start getting the cable out of that side. Okay, I think we're done. I've gone around and just finished off all the edges. I'm going to have to definitely blow this out. There's quite a bit of filings in there, but they're just plastic. Yeah, it's nice, quite nice. Check that out. I've gone around, I've made sure all the edges are nice and smooth. There's nothing sharp. There were these like little notches. I'm sure you can see it there. Little notches there. I've just gone and taken those off where they were sticking out. So yeah, I'm pretty impressed with that. Looks good. Looks like it'll drop very nicely into the Starlink now. Let's drop it into its box and just see how it fits. So this end goes quite close to that little hole there, and this should drop in nicely. Check that out. Hey, what a fit. Sure. Okay, perfect. And essentially that will just go on top, and we will bolt it down. Okay, but before we do that, there's still a bunch of other things to do. We need to remove the wiring. Don't need those anymore. Okay, so from what I can see in terms of the instructions, this just pries away from here. It seems like it's maybe glued or plastic welded. This thing, yeah, so it doesn't really matter if we obviously damage the outside board. We're not going to need it again, but we don't want to damage the cable at all. Okay, there we go. That's coming away pretty easily actually. Oh, okay, seems to be popping off. Sure, we'll be able to get into the side too. There we go. That's pretty easy. Oh, there we go. Okay, that was super easy. A lot easier than cutting the top off. Oh, there we go. That just comes straight out, so don't need that anymore. Right, now we've got a whole lot of cabling here. This is the motor that orientates it, but we're not going to need that anymore. So what we're after is we're just after this little guy here. This is the cable. And the biggest reason is because we can't cut this off because of the type of connector it has. So you can see there, that's what goes into the board. We also don't need that, and we are going to have to get that out as far as I remember, and these two. So again, something you just got to be a bit careful with. Basically, we are, as I understand, we are removing this piece out of it, as far as I know. So, okay, there we go. So it's a little tough, but I seem to have it now. We can use the bigger screwdriver. And basically, yes, as I thought, we're prying out this bit. So as soon as that comes out enough, I'm sure we'll be able to just pull it out. Just careful not to damage that wiring. It's down there. There we go. Okay. Okay. Oh, I see there's actually another connection there. Check that out. Okay, that makes sense. This actually should be able to, there we go, come straight out. And this should come out of here. Like I say, we just want the connection. Should get that out now. Okay, so again, we don't need this. We can take this out. That should come out easily. There we go. Now we're done with that. All finished. Not need it. Basically, that is the end that actually would go inside. Now I'm going to probably cut that off and put a RJ45 on here, one of those shielded ones. Okay, right, so we've got all that done now. Now it's time just to do the cabling inside the box, but first we need to cut off these little like plastic things. So they're quite easy. Apparently you just get the cutters. Just be careful not to cut the cable, of course. There we go, that's off, so that. Okay, and then we've got to get this off too. Apparently there's a magnet behind here, so there's two different types here. One will unclip, and then this one you have to cut. So I think what we can do is just try and the blade cut along the edge there. And again, just be careful with the cable. Get in there a little bit, watch the fingers. There we go. Okay, hopefully I can get this out now. Okay. Okay, so that's off. A little bit of a mission, but it's off. Apparently this you can just hit to the hammer and crack it. There we go. Came off perfectly. We've got our cable ready to go. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to move on to the cabling inside. We finished with the dish and the sanding and all that. So what I'm going to do is, because I'm cutting this off and I'm not going to use it, it's looped in a configuration here, so it uses the stack, and you obviously don't have to cut this because it needs to finish here. But essentially, I'm going to come out a little bit further, about to there. So what I'm going to do is, I've got a few more of these little cable tie fixes, and I am going to use them. I've already stuck one on there. I'm going to use them to just go down in a straight line so that we've got enough slack to come out at the end here and still be able to put our RJ45 on. Okay, so it's got to have a little bit of slack over here, roughly, just so it can go into the dish and you can get it in the dish nicely. So it doesn't look like too much, looks about that sort of much there. So what I'm going to do is, let's put that one in now. Okay, I'm not going to leave any, I'll leave as little as possible. I'm just going to cut it right off at the end. There we go. Put that through there. But we are almost ready to put the dish on. Okay, I purposely use car silicon because it is sort of removable if we need to remove it and replace this for some reason. So what I'm going to do is, hopefully you can see that, I am going to just squeeze a bunch into this hole. There we go. We will clean that up a little bit and give it a bit of time to dry, and then we can put the lid on top. We have to connect up one of the wires there still, which we shall do now. This is obviously coming this side, and that's why we have that cut out, because of that area there that needs to stay. So I think the easiest thing is to probably just come from this angle. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that is clicked in nicely, and this should now hopefully just drop in. There we go. Perfect. You want to make sure that it sits down enough and doesn't protrude up anywhere. Okay, we drop the top on like that. Line it up nicely. We can start putting the screws in. Many of them. And there we go. Done. I think that looks pretty good. Pretty happy with that. On the side here, you'll notice there's holes that go right through. That's how we'll mount it to the rack. There are the holes there. But yeah, I'm pretty impressed with that. This just needs to dry, and then I'll take the tape off. And we need to put our RJ45 in here, but again, I'll do that when it's dry. Okay, so onto the other cable. We'll go back inside. This cable here needs to be cut and RJ45s put on. We're going to put on RJ45s both ends. That's the end that was in the Starlink dish. That will be cut off. And this side here is the one that normally goes in the router, but what we'll do is we'll leave a bit of length of that so that if we do need to put an RJ45 and use the original router, we still can. Okay, so it's been a couple days of rain. I've done some testing, and now I can obviously finish this off with a proper sort of conclusion here and show you exactly what I've done. So I tested that TP-Link router that I had, 12 volts. It powers over USB, which is great, nice and small. The only problem with this is it's not wireless in, so it's not that quick on the wireless. And on top of it, it is only got 100 megabits support on the Ethernet connection. So what I ended up doing is changing over to a Microtech router, which I'll show you now. There's some nice advantages to that as well. But I had a bit of time, so I went out. I bought one of these waterproof sort of electrical boxes. And what I did was I put a switch on it so that I can just turn the whole unit on or off whenever I need to. I had another one of these fully waterproof RJ45 joiners, which I've now mounted in the box. And on this side here, I went ahead and put a Anderson connection for my 12 volt power supply. So it's quite a nice little sealed box. You can see here, that is basically housing the Dualie, the transformer that's converting everything from 12 volt to 48 volt for the dish to run, which is now mounted on the roof. And it's also housing the router. So the one I'm using, the Microtech one, is still small enough to fit in here. So I'll just take that off and show you. So this is the Microtech router I ended up going with. I actually had one already, which was quite nice. All the ports on here are gigabit connections, which is great. And what makes it even better is that the WAN in over here, which you might be able to see, that is actually a PoE in, which can power the router at the same time. So I don't have to do any other sort of 12 volt connection to this router. I just plug it in. There's a jumper setting on the Dualie, which allows pass through on 12 volt through to this, which is great. So it powers it as well. So that was pretty cool. So I've got that in here as well. I'm just going to take this out so I can show you the power supply. So that's it mounted in the box. Looks pretty good. I just mounted it down there. I've got a small another joiner cable going through here to my Ethernet joiner here, which allows me to plug in the actual dish itself into that port over there. So yeah, all quite nicely contained in this little box. I was pretty stoked about this. I'll definitely leave a link to it in the description below. So if you're looking for something that's probably going to be a little bit easier to use at the end of the day, I'll definitely look into this Microtech router. So that all just goes into this box, all hooks up, lid on, and I got a full like portable little unit here. So if I ever have to take the dish off the roof and use it somewhere else, if I need to get a bit more coverage or something like that, because we may be parked in an area that's not got much line of sight for the sky, then it's very easy for me to unplug this and just take it to another situation. So pretty cool. So yeah, I'm going to show you the dish now, and we'll go through that, and then we'll do some testing. I'll show you how it works, and yeah, everything I've had so far seems to be pretty good. Okay, so a little bit difficult to show you this 100% on the roof, but yeah, I'll attempt to here. So what we've done is I've mounted it directly to my roof rack. I went and made some brackets up. I just went and got some aluminium angle from my local hardware, and what I did was I mounted the dish to those, and then I've mounted that to the actual rack itself. Put some spacers underneath just to raise a little bit. I think I might put it at a slight angle. I do notice the water pools quite a lot on top, but that's not really a huge issue most of the time. When you're parking your car, it's going to be at a slight angle anyway, and certainly when you're driving, it's going to be blowing off if it is raining. I didn't notice much degraded performance in the rain, it seems. Maybe once there was a lot of pooling on top of the dish, maybe I noticed a little bit, not too much to worry about, to be honest, but as I say, just put a bit of an angle on it, it's going to run off, and then I don't think you'll have any problem at all. I've used one of those waterproof connectors here so that I can have that cable that was coming out of the dish itself, that we left that length, put the RJ45 on that, and we can then at least use that to join it to the other cable running down into the canopy itself. So that cable will essentially always stay there. Even if I take the Starlink off the roof, that cable will just stay up here, and I can use another cable if I want to join the Starlink dish itself back down to the power supply and router system down the bottom. So yeah, let's see what we're getting just sitting here stationary, and then we'll go for a small drive and just see what we get while we are moving and in motion. And I have tested it, so I can tell you it does work in motion, which is great, but up to what speeds I'm not 100% sure. And yeah, when you're on a motorway or highway or that sort of thing, there's not any trees covering the roads. The suburbs and those areas, there's a lot of trees overhanging, so I did notice that it went up and down a little bit then. But yeah, let's have a look, see what we get. Okay, so I'm all connected up here. I have connected to the Wi-Fi router that's in there. You can see there it's connected to Epic Africa, and I'm going to now go into the Starlink app itself. Just do a screen record so I can put this over here for you. So you can see here that it says disconnected. Just give it a second and it will show that it's all connected up. There we go. So it's online, which is great. Let's run a speed test. It's going to say it's run the speed test on the current device's connection. So that is the connection from here to the router and obviously out to the internet. And yeah, look at that. We're getting sort of 60, almost 60 megabits per second, and up is 20, which is about normal. Up is pretty normal for about 20 or somewhere around there that I've noticed. Latency is not the best, but unfortunately that's what we got to deal with here until we get some ground stations and a few other things. So let's go ahead and just run that test one more time, and then what I'm going to do is connect to the 5G connection on that particular router, and you'll see that there's certainly a improved performance with that connection. So there we go, we're going up to sort of close to 50. It's probably going to stick around about 50 now. Bear in mind we've only just powered this unit on, so it is still acquiring satellites. The connection will get better as you give it time, and Starlink generally says that it needs to be sort of like 15 minutes for it to stabilize properly. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and connect to the 5G connection now on this Microtech router. Let's go ahead and go back into the Starlink app. I'm going to just go out of the test, so it still obviously shows us online. We haven't lost connection or anything like that, which is great. And let's go run a speed test with this connection. So immediately you'll see, there we go, that it's upward on closer to, there we go, 80, 90, almost 90 megabits per second. And that is pretty much because obviously the connection, the wireless connection between the phone and the router is going to be that much better. So it's going to allow the speed to come through from the Starlink device itself. So yeah, pretty good. The upload is a little bit slower this time around, 11. Let's just run one more test for argument's sake there. Latency is a little bit better. Again, download speed's really good. Check at that, 130 cheapers. That's the highest I've had so far. And that's comparable to when it was orientating itself and pointing in its direction that it wanted to go to. As I say, upload speed's normally about 20. It's a little bit lower at the moment, but yeah, it's still fine, you know. Awesome. Okay, so I think that pretty much settles it. Certainly mounting it flat doesn't affect it too much at all, and we're getting super good speeds out like that, and everything's working really nicely. So let's jump in the car, we'll go for a bit of a drive and just see what we get on the road while we're traveling. Okay, I've come to a bit of open road over here now, so we're going to do the in motion test, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to about 60 k's an hour and run a speed test, and then we'll try go up to sort of 100 k's an hour and do a speed test there as well. I am connected to the 5G connection just to give it its best sort of chance. So yeah, let's go up to 60. Okay, so I'm going 60 now. I'm going to get into the Starlink app here. It's online, it's just great, and I'll hit the speed test. So let's see what we get. So I'm obviously having to watch the road here, but I can see out of the corner of my eye there, cheapers, 165. That's impressive. So really good, and I'm actually going 80 k's an hour now. So yeah, really happy with that, sheepers. Okay, let's do a turn around here. We'll go back on the same bit of road. It is nice and open here. We've got a bit of trees left and right of us, but it is pretty much open, so I think it's pretty fair test. But yeah, pretty impressed with that speed while in motion. So yeah, let's turn around and we'll try that again. Okay, so for our second and final test here in motion, we're going to go up to 100 k's an hour and run the same speed test. So we'll just open up the Starlink app here again, 100 k's an hour, speed tests. So let's see what we get. Been pretty impressed so far. Jeez, how's that? Check that, over 200, 230, 245 I saw there, 250. Yo. And we're going, well, 98, almost 100 k's an hour. So that is super impressive. Yeah. For Elon to do this, it really is it's going to be a game changer for a lot of people. I think that for us, you know, for Jay to be able to work while we're traveling in motion like this, assuming it doesn't pick up that we're in motion eventually, I haven't tried it long term. while driving, but yeah, should be able to get some work done, and it's really going to be good. You know, we spend a lot of time in the car, 6, 7 hours, 8 hours, sometimes 9, 10 hours even, and you know, that's a lot of time that you can spend getting a bit of work done while we're on the road. So pretty cool. We will be heading to Botswana pretty soon, and yeah, we'll definitely be testing it on the drive there, and while we're in areas with zero signal. So I'm impressed. If you've got any questions, please just drop us a comment in the comment sections below, and we'll try and answer them. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you don't follow us already, please subscribe to the channel. It just helps the algorithm there and get out to more people, which is cool. And yeah, we'll catch up with you on the next adventure, and maybe some other cool gadgets that we using and like. So yeah, anyway, see you on the next one. Cheers.